Procurement must not be yet another act of negligence. There's a long history in Victoria of negligence on the part of the CRD and of other authoritative figures, particularly from the CRD engineer Michael Williams, who in the 1980s authored a pale blue pamphlet with the poetic title To the Sea. Essentially, he argued that in Victoria, dilution was the solution to pollution. His work was eagerly supported by years of academic research by two University of Victoria professors, Dr. Derek Ellis and Dr. Jack Littlepage. And regrettably, their work was affirmed publicly by Dr. Sean Peck, the then Deputy Provincial Health Officer. Then, in the late 1980s, Dr. Tony Bodell conducted public hearings for the CRD on sewage, and at every hearing, he was told by most of the citizens that there must be some form of sewage treatment. Yet when there was a 1990 referendum, there were three options, one of them to do nothing. So here we are in 2010, and there is even an anti-treatment group formed to still urge the CRT, the provincial government, the federal government to do nothing. And there are even different levels of government ignoring the evidence of P3 failures, still pushing for P3s. And we as citizens are still before the CRD declaring that we want sewage treatment and we don't want P3s. I have tried to unravel the convoluted decision-making process related to procurement, and I asked a not-to-be-named official about the process. I was told that the federal government will not do anything until the province commits. I was then told that before there would be a commitment for provincial funding, there is a requirement under the Capital Asset Management Framework that public sector agency must investigate alternatives for capital development, including the P3 option to design, build, and operate. When I asked about the degree to which citizens' views will be taken into consideration by the provincial government, I was told that the CRD report following the public hearings, along with an investigation report, would form the basis for the provincial decision. The investigation report, however, is being done by Ernst & Young, whose firm has not only been embroiled in lawsuits related to fraud and negligence and breach of trust, and it also appears that Ernst & Young has a bent for pro-P3s, as revealed in Jim Lloyd's presentation to the CRD, and thus a conflict of interest, and has questionable expertise in the assessing of environmental and social consequences. The question thus arises, would the provincial government be able to allow or be prepared to allow public concern to prevail and support the public's call for design, bid, build, as well as the public's opposition to P3s? It is, however, clear that the BC government has made a firm commitment to P3s. In their Partnership BC document, the BC government proclaims that P3s are the growing trend in Canada in the development and maintenance of public infrastructure, and then expounds on the virtues of P3s. Now, what happens if the CRD and BC government actually listen to citizens' concerns? What can the federal government be expected to do or be able to do now? The benefits of using it in Infrastructure Canada is the following statement. The benefits of using P3s include access to private sector capital and expertise, faster completion of projects, and the transfer of risk to the private sector. In Canada, the federal government is taking a leadership role in developing P3 opportunities by establishing the P3 Fund. This fund will support innovative projects that provide an alternative to traditional government infrastructure procurement.
You have 1 minute.
In addition, in recent years, there have been several trade agreements which have resulted in a requirement for open sourcing, internal trade agreement, TILMA, WTO procurement clause, and then there is now going to be, it hasn't yet been agreed to, but the Comprehensive Economic Agreement negotiation. This CETA, which is the Comprehensive Environment Agreement negotiation, could allow for a company like Veolia or Sewage to seduce the provincial and federal governments into embracing P3 proposals. And I'm going to be submitting something on the Veolia fiasco in Brussels and the many cases against Suez and Bechtel. Thus will the biased, it's the last sentence, thus will The biased provincial and federal government keep demanding more research, and the P3-prone private sector keep lobbying until finally the concerns of the citizens will be trumped and the P3 is victorious. And then the citizens will be given the option: either you agree to P3s and receive provincial and federal funding, or you oppose P3s and through taxes bear the cost.
Thank you.